Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with a bit of a different video for you today. This is just going to be kind of discussion. I'm not going to do a regular review. I do want to thank Southern Edge Knife Works for helping to sponsor the channel. They're one of the main companies that allow me to do silly videos like this and take a break from actually reviewing stuff. Go to southernedgeknifeworks.com. Use the code SDSEK at checkout. Get 15% off. There, I've done my plug. But what is this going to be? It is 10 things that I think you should not do as a knife enthusiast. I think some of them are inarguable. Some of them you're probably going to argue with me. But you know what? I've been doing this for a while. And I've seen a lot of other people's collections and things like that. I've watched the online knife community probably way too much. And I just see these things happen. And the internet knife community, as we like to call it, the IKC for the cool kids. I just see this stuff happen over and over again. And some of it really bothers me. And I thought I would sit down and do this. I will admit this format is slightly inspired by, if you're a watch person, the Urban Gentry. I'm going to link him down below because I'm totally aping his format on this. So the least I can do is give him a link. Great watch channel. But yeah, so I got my little notebook. I'm just going to go through here. 10 things I think you shouldn't do. This is not meant to be a lecture. This is just meant to be a discussion. Please comment down below things that you see knife collectors and knife enthusiasts doing. This isn't just about collectors. It's about enthusiasts, period. But please add your comments down below. I'd really like to see them. I genuinely would. I like to show a knife. This is a knife channel, so this is going to be discussion. But before we get too far, I will show one knife. It's in my pocket today. I have the Microtech LUDT, my purple one, of course. Love this thing. And it's Microtech Monday, so I carried it because it's for Instagram purposes. Even though it's a great knife, it still was partly for Instagram purposes. That's probably another thing I should have added to this. Don't be a slave to hashtags. I totally am. Sometimes it's good though. Like, you know, on a Monday, I'm like, oh, I want something micarta for micarta Monday or Microtech Monday, and it made me bring out. I haven't carried the LDT in a while, so today it made me bring it out. Excuse me. All right, so let's get going with the list, and these are in no particular order at all. Number 10, I think, is completely indisputable. Don't knife shame. When you're out there on the interwebs, in the comments on this channel, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Blade forums or Reddit or any of those places, don't knife shame people. You look like a dick. At the end of the day, you just do, no matter what your position is. And it can go two ways. I've seen it go one of two ways. One of which is people they have inexpensive collections and they're proud of them. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, I know I've done a video before where I trash people's knife collections, but it was meant as a joke and people knew what they were getting into. Don't do that to people just unsolicited. That's really, really rude. Sometimes that's all they can afford. If they have a bunch of clones, yeah, smash them. I hate clones, but I should have had don't buy clones on here, but I think that kind of goes without saying. Don't buy clones is not on here, but consider it number 11. Don't buy clones. I don't mind if people trash people for willingly buying clones. As an accident, happens to a lot of people. Knock on wood, it hasn't happened to me yet, but I'm sure it probably will at some point with the amount of knives that go through here. But yeah, but if like there are some brands that I don't review on here for lack of a better word, moral purposes, I guess. But I don't mind people who have them. You know, if that's what you can afford and that's what you're into, then go for it. The opposite end of the spectrum, and I even get it, even though I don't consider my collection really that high end. I have many knives in that, you know, $400 to $700 range, but I don't have a lot of, like, you know, $1,500, $1,600 customs. But the other way I see people getting shamed is, you don't use your stuff, it doesn't look beat up, you clearly don't use it. I get that comment so much. You know what? First of all, I review knives on YouTube. It's a visual format. I like to keep them looking nice. Sue me. Other thing is, I got over 100 of them. They're not all going to get used and beat up all the time. That's just the way it is. But if you're just a guy who has, like some people I know have, you know, $30,000, $40,000 collections and they only have 8 knives. They're really expensive. If they don't want to use those, that's their jam. They can have safe queens. There's no shame in having a collection of safe queens. If you can afford that and that's what you want to do and it brings you joy, do it. And if you see it and you don't like it, keep your pie hole shut. It's not your money. Doesn't matter. Is it going to affect your day-to-day life? No, it isn't. So shut up. Is it going to affect your day-to-day life that somebody has a collection of 30 Ganzos and they love it, and you're going to type, you could have bought just 6 really good Spydercos for that. No, shut up. You don't need to do that. All right. Next up, number 9. Do not discount a knife brand because of one bad experience. This goes less so for some of the smaller, really more expensive, quasi hand-built brands, I guess you should say, but especially like a big brands like Spyderco, Benchmade, Kershaw, Kaiser. Some bad apples are going to slip through. It's just inevitable. Some bad apples are going to slip through. And if you get one, don't just write off the whole brand. I see that all the time. I see people say, oh, I got a bad Spyderco 4 years ago. I'm never going to buy another one. One bad one slipped through. If you had a bad experience with the customer service, maybe that may be a whole other matter. But a lot of those guys, I would say probably 7 out of 10 times, didn't even contact the manufacturer. They just decided, dead to me, because they had one bad knife out of probably 3,000, that company made that year. It's going to happen. Don't just totally throw a brand away. You might miss out on some really cool stuff. Number 8, don't get attached to one anything. And by that, I mean, don't get attached to the fact that, oh, I don't like slip joints. You might miss out on some really cool, like especially these new modern slip joints that have been coming out the last few years. You might miss out on a really awesome knife because you just have decided, I'm never going to own a slip joint. Don't get attached to one handle material. Oh, I only like micarta. Well, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff if you get attached to that. Or, oh, I don't like titanium handles. Don't get attached to anything. Judge a knife by its whole package. Don't get attached to one little thing that you like, that you've decided that you like, and you will not ever try anything without that one little thing. You're going to miss out on some awesome stuff. I've been guilty of it. I know I don't like fixed blades, and I have said that several times, and it's a carry issue, but I probably should try a few more than I do, but I don't, so I'm guilty of it as well. But I think fixed blade versus folder, that's a huge divide. But anywho, just trying to defend myself a little bit here, just a little bit. But yeah, don't get attached to one tiny little thing and just decide that's my jam, and no matter what, I will not do it, except for I'm not going to buy any green knives. Oh, I just lied. I just ordered a green knife. Oh well, I guess then I own a bounty hunter. Damn it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lie to you guys, but I just did. It was inadvertent. It was a live omission, I guess. This one kind of dovetails in number 7. Don't be a steel snob. You can be to a point, yes. You can say, oh, I really hate this one particular steel because I've had a lot of experience with it and I really like it. Say, like HCR 13 MOV. Like, I'm not a big fan of that, and I get disappointed when I see it. But still, even with that, there are some notable exceptions, and that's what I'm getting at. Because as I think any steel expert will tell you, if you go on the internet and watch all these much better steel expert channels than I am, a lot of it just depends on the company, depends on the heat treat. So, for example, cold steel, theirs is always better than what it should be, no matter what the steel is. They do a superb job with heat treat. Their factory in Taiwan, whoever it is, it's a closely guarded secret, and I don't blame them. It's always great. They're always just outstanding. Like, their AUS 8 was always way better than everybody else's AUS 8. They do 8CR even. I just mentioned 8CR 13. That is what brought cold steel to mind. Their 8CR ain't half bad. In a lot of places it isn't, and then people get steel snobbery that makes no sense, like thinking that we and Civivi's 9CR 18 MOV is the same as 8CR 13. It isn't at all. It's way better. You can just get caught in this steel snobbery saying, I need M390 or 20 CV or higher or I won't buy it. Odds are 90% chance. No, you don't. You're opening Amazon packages just like the rest of us. You'd be fine. I think it was Pete from Centric Ada. Actually, I'm sure it was because I mentioned this in a previous video. Somebody did say, yeah, it was him. Made a good point where he said, if a lot of us who have really high-end knife collections, I mean, mine's not that high-end, but guys who have high-end knife collections, if you took all their knives and replaced all their M390 and 20 CV and K390, all their really high-end steels, and you replaced it with HCR, they wouldn't notice. And I think that's pretty accurate, because a lot of people who are huge steel snobs also own, 70, 80, 100 knives. And yeah, they don't get used as often. It doesn't, just don't be a steel snob is what I'm saying. You can be upset about the price difference. I'm not saying that. If you go to buy a, $800 knife and it has CPM 154, which is an excellent steel. But yeah, I'd be a little bit disappointed by that. I could totally see that. But yeah, there are some at some price points you want to see some certain specs, but don't just totally throw out a knife, especially in the budget range, just because it doesn't have that exact level of steel that you've deemed. Yeah, so don't be a steel snob. Number 6. This is particularly applicable, just not in how you collect or anything, but just how you conduct yourself in the internet knife community, the IKC. Don't confuse constructive criticism with being an ass clown. It's not that fine of a line. It's pretty easy to tell the difference. If you say, oh, I really like this knife, but I would have done this different or this different, or say, I don't like this knife at all because of this thing and this thing, and you say it in a nice, even tone, that's fine. If you post something with 8 F-bombs and laughing at people and saying, oh, you're idiots, I know better than you, and blah, blah, and, F your mother and your dog, that's not constructive criticism. And a lot of times when people say stuff like that, the company or fans of the company will justifiably be like, shut up, dude, what's wrong with you? And be like, I'm just making constructive criticism. No, you're not. You're being a jackass, and stop it. I don't understand that. I know it happens in every single thing on the internet, but yeah, don't take glee in finding a small flaw with something. Don't make big long videos just trashing something with 8 tons of profanity just because you think it's funny and you get fed by your 20 or 30 fans that think it's funny. Don't do that. That's not cool. It doesn't help anyone. That company is probably that thing that you want that company to change, if you react like that, they're probably going to keep doing it out of spite to you. And I don't blame them. I'm that way too. I'd probably do the same thing. If somebody jumped on me, well, they have. If people jump on me with a curse-laden rant about how stupid I am about this one way that I do something in a video, I keep doing it to continue to make that person mad. Even though maybe they're right. Maybe I should change it. If I get a constructive thing saying, hey, could you do this little thing different? I might make an effort. But if you come at me swearing and everything, my heckles get up. I'm just a human male. I get my back up and I'm going to dig my heels in and keep doing it just to ruin your day. I think knife companies are that way too. They're just run by people. Don't do that. Constructive criticism is one thing. Being a jackwad is another. All right. Next up. Don't overpay for sprint runs. It feeds a market that is very bad. I mean, on the secondary market. Spyderco comes out with a good sprint run, and they're gone in, let's be honest, quite often, 20, 30 minutes. People miss out on them. They immediately jump on eBay. They're on eBay before the people even have them. They're in the mail from, Blade HQ or Southern Edge Knife Works or whatever your favorite retailer is. They're on there. The knives aren't even there yet, and the guys have listed them on eBay for, 80, 90, 100% markups. And people are snapping them up. Don't do that. You feed that desire to do that. And also, wait a minute. If you think, oh, I missed it, I'm never going to be able to get one, I have to buy one right now, I'll pay whatever I have to pay to get it, I need this Rex 45 PM2, I have to have it. Hey, you probably don't. Go back to the steel snob thing. You're probably not going to notice the difference between that and the PM2 that you already have. But also, just wait a couple months. They're going to be back again for cheaper. If you go buy a Sprint at a panic price, as I like to call it, if you pay panic price, you could have just waited a couple months and you'd have been paying, you're going to pay more than retail. Say it's a $200, I'm just using Spyderco's example, but there are other ones. Say you paid $200 for a Spyderco Sprint, or it was $200 MSR, or, MAP price. That's what everybody was selling for. And then you went and paid $400 in a panic on eBay for it, or $350. If you'd have waited a month and a half, it probably would have been $250, $225, because the market levels out eventually. let it level, hold on, you'll be okay. And I know it's a bad thing to say for a guy who makes a living off a knife channel. It's just a knife. It's just a knife. It'll be okay. I've missed out on stuff, absolutely, for sure. It'll be all right. Don't pay panic prices. Don't feed that market. It's ridiculous. Which is going to lead me into the next one. I lost track of what number we're at, but don't. Well, I guess this kind of dovetails in. We're going to make this a separate one. Don't invest. Don't think you're buying a knife as an investment. No, you're not. That's what a lot of people justify buying sprints for. I can buy it. I can get people to pay panic prices. I can make money off of it. It's kind of unscrupulous, and in my opinion, and B, it's you're going to lose money more often than not because you're going to get more wrong than you're going to get right. It's just the way it is. Don't invest in knives. If that's your retirement plan, then you're kind of screw-ed. So don't do that. All right, next one up. This is another thing about internet comments and stuff. Everything's a copy now. Everybody thinks everything's a copy. It doesn't matter who or what knife you review. Somebody invariably says, "Oh, that just looks like a whatever." Yeah, it probably does. It's a knife. There's only so many different ways to do it. I mean, look at this poster behind me from nafs.com. Look at all those little blade shapes going down the sides here. What can I do? I can't do that. My hand does it, by the way. The blade shapes going down the sides there. A lot of them look fairly similar. A lot of knives are going to look fairly similar. It doesn't mean that A copied B. It just means that a lot of stuff is just going to come out that way. We are in a golden age of knives. There are a crap ton of them coming out right now. It is impossible to assume that some aren't going to come out looking like others. It's going to happen that way. Doesn't mean that anybody copied anybody. It's just parallel thinking is what we call it in the comedy world. When somebody tells a joke similar to yours, they didn't steal it, but it's just an easy concept that was out there, and both of you wrote jokes about it. It doesn't mean that you stole it. It's parallel thinking. And that's what a lot of these things, when somebody just gets so angry, like, oh, that just looks like a whatever. It's just a copy of whatever. No, it isn't a copy. It's just parallel thinking. You want to make a nice, simple EDC, fits in the hand very well, easy to carry, nice, simple drop point blade. You're trying to go simple. Yeah, probably someone's made one that looks kind of like that, but it's fine. Fine, there can be more. It's totally fine. Next up, we're going to say, do not trash small manufacturers for having small manufacturer issues. On one hand, a lot of the knife community says, buy American, buy from smaller American-made companies. And then on the other hand, they say, why are these always sold out? Why can I never get one? I'm so angry that I can't get one. I don't like the way they introduced that knife. Blah, blah. Well, yeah, you went with a small manufacturer. They're going to have small manufacturer issues. If they make a really good product, they're going to sell out all the time. It's going to happen because they are a small manufacturer. They can't make that many of them. It's going to happen. It's just... there's going to be long distances between drops. It's going to happen. Stop it. It's all right. I know you're upset that you missed it, but again, like I said before, it's just a knife. And most of these small manufacturers, especially the ones that, come to mind, TRM, American Blade Works, companies like that, North Arm, they're not. If they really were trying to gouge you and rip you off and generate hype, as everybody likes to say, they're just generating hype, they would charge you a lot more. I mean, TRM has the Atom I just saw. They're going to be doing some a smaller run of those, and like with carbon and crap, and I remember what it was. I don't know what the specs were. It's $280. They could charge $400 for that, and they'd still all be gone. And they don't. And it's, North Arm, they have a huge waiting list. I know that North Arm is like pushing the realms of this. I know that they have a huge, giant waiting list all the time. For a Skaha 2, they could charge $600. People buy them like that. They're not. They're two something. These companies aren't producing fewer knives to generate hype or to ruin your day or to take a duty in your sandbox. They are doing it because that's as many as they can make. in the quality level that they want to make them without going overseas. You want everything made by a small manufacturer in the United States, you're going to have to wait a minute. Suck it up. All right. Next up, don't expect to get paid back on your knives if you modify them. Say you buy a knife for $200, you put $300 in modifications to it, and you put it up on the internet, and you expect to get that money back. Ain't happening. Ain't happening. You modified it to your tastes. That $200 knife with $300 worth of mods, it's worth about $200. Maybe a hair more. You're not going to get that money back. This goes with everything. I think it goes with cars. It goes with, when I was in the bicycle community, it goes with that. You guys who buy a $1,500 mountain bike, and they put, $3,000 worth of mods in it, which ain't hard. And then they expect to get $5,000 for it. It's like, no, you're not. You're going to get about the $1,800 it was when it was new. It might help it keep its brand new value. It might even that out a little bit, but you're not going to get that money back. And stop trying. You're just not. It's almost easier now. I have found personally, my little advice is, modding hinderers and stuff. I do a lot of part swaps on hinderers. It's easier to sell to convert it back to stock and sell the parts. Now, you can't do that if you do things like get the blade acid washed or whatever like that. If you do something like that, if you do a non-reversible mod, ano, the acid wash the blade, something like that, that's probably your knife now. You might be able to sell it at a significant loss, but that's kind of just your knife now. And I think people just need to accept that and not get mad about it. Lastly, don't play Pokemon. And I'm not talking about the game that does in the phone, because if you're watching this, you're probably an adult. Stop it. You look stupid. But no, don't play catch-em-all, especially when you're starting out with your collection. Don't play catch-em-all. There may be a few that I think are true icons that I do recommend to people, when they say, hey, I'm just starting my knife collection. What are 3 or 4 knives I should get? And I say, like a PM2, like a 940, something like that. An 0562 or whatever. I say like knives like that. I think there are some icons you should really, start out with. But past that, don't try to chase every little trend and try every little thing. In your heart of hearts, you know what you like. Expand your horizons by all means, but don't just try and get every knife that's the new hotness because you think it's the new hotness, and going back to the don't invest because you think you're going to make some money on it, because you ain't. And just don't do that. I did it, definitely. I mean, I had a bit of an extenuating circumstance because I kind of got into collecting right by the time I started this channel. So I do have to buy knives. I have to play Pokemon because it's my job. But if it's not your job, wow, there's a whole lot of knives I wish I hadn't bought, that I didn't feel like I had to buy. Don't play Pokemon in your knife collection. That's it. I hope I didn't come across too over the top with this. I know I only got kind of confused myself once there. I think that's pretty good. This is all one take, one shot, 23 and a half minutes now. I hope you guys enjoyed this, though. I'm going to try and do topics like this more often. And please suggest down below to a lot of us, because I think a lot of for lack of a better term, rookies are going to be watching this. Please comment down below for us, you experienced collectors, what you think people should not do while building a knife collection. And those of us who are heavily involved in the internet knife community, tell people how not to show their ass, to the entire internet knife community, how to behave. That sounds a bit over the top, but things that you just shouldn't do. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I think this will be a really good, fun topic for conversation. And again, I'm going to try and do more videos like this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.